As a rule, with a highly organized communal life. Tel Aviv, startling new all-Jewish city, built in less than 25 years. Where deserted sand dunes once stood, a fine promenade and bathing beach fronts an entirely European-type city of smart shops, flats, cinemas, hotels and factories. Almost incredible is the contrast between Tel Aviv's ultra-modernity and the biblical atmosphere of the lovely old Arab town of Nazareth, sacred to the memory of our Lord, and the peace and tranquility of Bethlehem, scene of the Nativity. The famous bells of Bethlehem, which yearly ring out their Christmas message to the world. Contrary to popular belief, Palestine is not a large country. It is indeed no bigger than Wales. From the heights of Judea, all the frontiers of the Holy Land are clearly visible. Thus, from Bethlehem of the Nativity to Jerusalem of the Crucifixion is only 7 miles. From the Mount of Olives, we look down upon the Holy City. In the foreground, the wonderful Mosque of Omar, standing on the site of Solomon's Temple. This is Jerusalem, sacred alike to Christian, Muslim, and Jew. 3 main lines of faith meet here before spreading out to the ends of the earth. Outside the old city wall has grown up a new town of many fine buildings, with well-designed suburbs spreading over the ancient hills. Yet, the real Jerusalem lies within the wall, unchanging, ageless. The ramparts of David's Tower, built on the foundation of Herod's citadel, frown down upon the Jaffa Gate, busiest of the 7 gates that pierce the great encircling wall of the old city. The tide of life flows through the narrow lanes in an endless stream of jostling, picturesque humanity. Merchants sell their wares in open booths with much bargaining. Food is sold by vendors on the open street, and here a lemonade seller pours a cooling drink for a thirsty customer. An elderly Jew passes by, now a Christian priest, and close by an Arab sheikh. A young Jew with long side curls distinguishing his particular sect, 2 nuns from a nearby convent, peasant women with beautifully embroidered bodices. A dignified Arab, full of years, rubs shoulders with a young Arab farmer from the hills. The security of this bewildering variety of peoples is in the hands of a highly efficient police force. Here in this typical urban police station are 2 of its members. They're of different race, one British, the other Palestinian. This is characteristic of the force, composed as it is of British, Arab, and Jewish police. Policemen in Palestine, as in England, have a reputation for courtesy and helpfulness. Radio patrol vans are used by the police extensively. Racial clashes, armed robbery, terrorist activities of political extremists, all of these things are possible in Palestine and need swift action for effective enforcement of law and order. The Palestine Mobile Force is designed to act as a reserve to normal police dispositions, thus providing a weapon for suppressing serious disorder in its initial stages. Training of recruits is organized on military lines. It aims to make them alert, tough, versatile. The handling of modern automatic weapons. Self-defense in unarmed combat. A good working knowledge of Arabic. Map reading and desert navigation. A policeman in Palestine is indeed a man of many parts. The Palestine Mobile Force, with its trucks and light armored cars, offers a variety of jobs on the mechanical side. The recruits are now on the job, but training doesn't stop at this point. Constant exercises and planned maneuvers underline the specialized nature of the force. Indeed, training in the Palestine Mobile Force is now a necessary preliminary for all recruits destined for other police work. Normally, at least a year is spent in the mobile force before a recruit moves on to the main depot at Mount Scopus near Jerusalem for training in other police duties. Like any disciplined force, the police take a pride in their reputation for smartness at drill. An important part of a policeman's duties is traffic control. and it's not as easy as it looks. Then there are classes for learning details of the law. This could be the real thing, but it's only a demonstration of how to deal with a car suspected of carrying smuggled goods. Drug running is a profitable business, and the smugglers are up to every kind of trick. As an example, this box has a false compartment in which the police found packets of the vicious hashish drug. The recruit puts in a full day's work, and he's not sorry to get back to his quarters at the end of it for a quiet smoke and a chat. In the building, there are attractive lounges, billiard rooms, and so on. Although the quarters aren't luxurious, they are comfortable. In the married quarters, Daddy's late, but then he never knows the time. He's a policeman. It's not all work and training. There are plenty of facilities for sport of all kinds, all the year round. And if you don't like being knocked about in the ring, you can always get pushed around on the football field. Football and hockey are ideal winter games for the Palestinian uplands, where the climate reminds you of England. It's so different, it stops raining sometimes. Athletics are strongly encouraged and the standards are high, so much so that all over the country, inter-depot sports meetings are organized regularly, while between the police and the army in Palestine, there's the keenest rivalry in sporting affairs. And if you feel like less strenuous activity, well, how's this? A considerable section of the police force is mounted for patrol duties in rural areas. Let's take a look at their training depot at Pathe. This sort of thing makes the horse nimble-footed and responsive to his rider, and at the same time trains the rider to be sure of his seat under all conditions. A very high standard is maintained, and this section of the force fully deserves its reputation for horsemanship. Training over, the men are posted to mounted sections in various parts of the country. Let's follow a patrol, a mixed one of British and Palestinians, doing the round of villages in the neighborhood of Nazareth. It'll be several days before they're back, and the wife of the commander speeds them on their way. At each village, the patrol commander greets the mukhtar or headman to discuss business and exchange local gossip. During these friendly chats, all in Arabic by the way, useful information often comes to light. Palestine Police also have their backroom boys, experts in scientific crime detection. These are the laboratories of the Criminal Investigation Department, inspiration for countless detective stories. Here, a speck of blood is being tested to determine whether it's human or animal. The means of bringing a murderer to justice may well be provided by the microscope. Maintenance of wireless gear is of great importance in a force where radio communication is so widely used. The central wireless control room is in continuous touch with all radio-equipped vehicles in any part of the country. The operator is accepting a message for a mobile desert patrol in the Beersheba district of southern Palestine. Out in the desert, the message is picked up. A camel patrol is returning from a search for smugglers and must be contacted at a given rendezvous. "Let's go," says the sergeant, and the vehicles churn off across the sand. Again, this is a mixed patrol, consisting of British sergeants and wireless operator and Arab constables. For motor vehicles, this is treacherous country, where drivers need skill and experience in avoiding soft patches of driven sand. At the rendezvous, they settle down to watch, and up comes the inevitable brew of tea. The camel patrol is sighted as it slowly picks its way through the sand dunes. In charge is an Arab sergeant. The men of both patrols are all highly trained and efficient members of the same police force. Yet, their two means of transport are 1,000 years apart. Another of the remarkable contrasts in this strange land. The Palestine police make considerable use of dogs for tracking and identifying lawbreakers. He's being put through his obedience tests following a period of intensive training. Now comes the proving test. A wheel and tire have been stolen from a bus. The dog finds a strong human scent nearby and follows it. Certain suspects, already arrested, have been placed in line for possible identification. Can the dog do it? He can. The man is identified and the dog qualifies for the force. Police work in Palestine certainly doesn't lack variety. Not only do they drive and ride, they also navigate at sea. During the war, the normal police marine contraband duties were extended to coastal defense. Yes, these are policemen with RNVR ranks. An armed police launch sets out on patrol from Haifa across the bay towards the old Crusader town of Akka. From the salt Mediterranean to the placid fresh waters of Lake Tiberias. Here on Galilee, the Marine Police have to guard against smugglers and illegal entry into Palestine from the frontier across the lake. Another of their tasks is to check the nets of Galilee fishermen. The lake would soon be cleared of fish if the law didn't regulate the size of nets. From his benign expression, this old fisherman happens to be on the right side of the law. On special occasions, the Palestine police show what they can do in the way of a big parade. This is such an occasion, the King's birthday, and Lord Gort, the High Commissioner, chose it as fitting to present many medals for gallantry and distinguished service awarded to officers and men of the force. It's a proud day for the individuals concerned, and indeed for the whole force. And their bearing plainly shows it as the detachments move past the High Commissioner. Here are represented all the many branches of Palestine's police force. have caught brief glimpses of these men at their everyday jobs, jobs for which they must be alert, tough, versatile, whether in the saddle or on foot, in town or desert, ashore or afloat. Here, British and Palestinian work side by side to keep watch and ward over the Holy Land. Where only yesterday the show of pomp and circumstance thrilled the watching crowds, a British constable and a Palestinian patrol their beat together. They are doing the job which is the very foundation of all police work, the day-to-day guarding of the peace and security of the ordinary citizen.